Ever since my last Afib incident a couple weeks ago, I received a lot of questions and comments, mainly on why I'm making the choices I'm making. Today I'm going to be answering those and actually asking a question, especially to you doctors out there. Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. First question, am I still racing? The advantage of having an Afib incident in the middle of a season that's cancelled is that I now have a lot of time to get back up to speed. Now, I had been racing online on Zwift, but I was doing too much of that, which had led to the situation I was in recently. Even though I can jump onto an online Zwift race, that's not a level of stress I want to introduce right now. I want to keep things nice and even. Other than doing my once a week road ride, which is going to be mainly long climbing, easy to moderate endurance, maybe a few strength intervals, I'm riding at home online. And I'm mostly doing group rides, easy group rides. Once a week, I am doing a moderate level group ride. When I do start to race on Zwift, that's probably going to be in 2, maybe 3 weeks. And that will be replacing my moderate to hard group ride. This is going to be my longest ride since Afib.
This will be my longest climb. And I can't remember when.
So we're pretty much even.
Yeah, I haven't done the floor lane, whole house, none of them.
Second question, why don't I simply get an ablation? Basically, the procedure for an ablation involves putting a hole in your groin area into your femoral artery. Then snaking 2 wires up through the femoral artery, up through the vena cava into the right atrium of the heart. 2 holes are then made to snake those 2 wires from the right atrium into the left atrium. One of those wires contains a mapping tool that maps out the electrical activity of the heart. Those areas with inappropriate electrical activity are then ablated by the other wire through hot or cold energy by simply touching that area, and then it deadens it. There is an ultrasound probe that's put down your throats into the heart area so the doctor can see what he's doing with the tools. The patient's also exposed to 5 to 10 minutes of x-rays or similar during the, I believe, 60-minute long procedure. That's a surgery, and all surgery contains risk. You're talking about putting a hole in the groin area, whereas a guy that always piques my interest. You're talking about the heart. You're talking about putting 2 holes in the heart. You're talking about deadening areas of the heart, all controlled by a guy on the outside through a couple of wires that are snaked up through the bottom of your body. What can go wrong there? I look at my lifestyle and I look at my history. It was 3, maybe 4 years ago, I don't remember, where I had my first Afib incident, and then I had my second one a year later, almost to the day. And both of those incidences, I had to be electrically converted out of into sinus. I then, a little while later, I had another incident, and I took a calcium channel blocker that was prescribed to me, and that converted me back within about an hour. I had 2 more incidences after that in which I converted back on my own, again within about an hour or so. I have it in my mind that what I'm doing is going to work until it doesn't. When I do the risk-benefit calculation on the surgery, it's no ablation for me now.
Well, that hurt just a little bit more than I expected. It'll be quite a few minutes before the next one.
That's good.
Third question. You're 65 now. Why don't you act your age and slow down? That one's mainly coming from family. Not the fetching Mrs. Cycling Greek though. That's an involved answer that I don't want to put you all through. Simply put, I don't want to. I love what I'm doing and I get a tremendous amount of value from it. I want to do what I want to do, how I want to do it for as long as I can. Of course, I have to make adjustments along the way. One of the first adjustments I made was no longer training for or racing double centuries. One of my core precepts in life is, I do not live to simply exist. Ooh-wee. That was tiring.
Yes, solid.
No PRs, but that's okay.
True.
No, shit. I'm more tired than I thought I'd be. Actually, I don't know how tired I'd be, so I'm pretty tired.
And now for the last question. But before we get to it, let's go back to question number 2, why I don't get an ablation. I neglected to mention that I do have this teammate that was diagnosed with Afib when he was in his teens. He then got an ablation when he was in his mid-40s. He's doing fine now. He races well. I can't keep up with him on the climb, much less anywhere else. Okay, now to the question. A little setup first. A teammate of mine, a former teammate, contacted me soon after I put out my I Got Afib Again video. Now, he retired from racing a few years ago and has been riding recreationally since. He told me that 7 months ago he was diagnosed with Afib. They did the usual battery tests and everything is structurally sound on him. His blood pressure is real good, so there was no obvious reason why the Afib was happening. Now, he did tell me that his doctor has little or no experience working with athletes. His doctor is also curious as to why he got Afib, and so he has been doing more tests on him. He has not attempted to convert him, and that's where my question is coming in. He has him on an ACE inhibitor, on a beta blocker, and of course a blood thinner. My question to you, is there an advantage to being an Afib in order to determine the cause of that particular Afib? Please comment below. I'm going to pass this information along to my former teammate.
I tell you, once you're used to it, you don't think much about going 40 plus miles, 4,000 plus feet of climbing. But right now, that was tiring. My heart rate usually when I get off the bike is, goes down to the 80s immediately, then 70s, and then on down. But today, I got off the bike and it was still in the mid 90s. It's gone down now. I'm right at, I'm at 69. Okay, so I'm sitting down, but it was higher when I was up doing stuff. Just shows you how quickly things go when you're older. Okay, so those are my answers to the questions and comments I had received. And that is my question to you out there, especially you, those of you in the medical field. Remember, never just give up. In research, give out, but just don't give up. All right, the Strava for this ride is going to be linked in the description below. I may have my original Afib incidents video in the description below too. I want to hear from you. Any follow-up questions, comments? Remember, comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.